What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video in our WordPress series. And hey, if you like what you're getting here, subscribe, will you? And in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to deal with the renew button. I remember in an earlier video I said the renew is going to be a little complicated and takes a little longer to do than just deleting and importing, so let's deal with that later. We are there now. So that's what we're going to do in this video. In the last video, we kind of made a cool ad sponsored section, which was kind of like your own workaround if you wanted to sponsor your own, or like if you got a one-on-one sponsor for your videos and all that. But in this video, I wanted to show you how to renew videos, how to detect if a video is needing to be, if your video logs need to be updated. Like you can come in here and hit renew and it'll detect new videos and import them in. So let's just jump straight into Visual Studio Code. I'm in the importer call page. That's in the admin partials importer call. This is the page right here that deals with all this. First, I'm just going to delete everything in our video storage. So everything should be gone now. If I go back to the videos page, all this stuff should just disappear. Perfect. All right, we just want it out of here. And back in our importer call, down here we have these blocks. This runs on the import call. If you remember, it's a get variable being sent to our page when a user renews, imports, deletes. And right now the renew actually goes to the page with the action renew, but nothing happens because we haven't programmed anything for it. So let's fix that now by putting it right here. And then we're going to just copy this open block and we're going to say this runs on the renew action. And then I'm going to steal from this block up here and I'm going to say end renew action block. Perfect. So now we have some code here, or we have a section set aside for our renew function. Well, obviously, first thing we need to do is we need to detect if the action, as you know, we're actually gathering it as the action. And sorry, I went too high up. And we're determining what the action equals. This is getting the get variable for the action. So in this case, we would say if it equals renew, because that's what our renew button is sending when we click renew. That's the action coming in. So now it's going to do something inside this renew block. All right, so now we're doing something inside of renew. We could add an echo here to prove it to you, but just you take my word for it. And the first thing we need to do in here is I'm actually going to do this in a unique way. Okay, so we have an issue here, right? A user goes to import new videos from YouTube, and you already have videos in your database that are each a custom post. Well, there's a couple ways we could go about it. One way is we could rotate each video that is trying to get imported through the database through a loop and check that video against what we have currently. And there's a couple of flag identifiers we could use. Like one flag we could use is like the published at date. One flag we could use is the video ID, a couple of things like that. But what we're going to do exactly is we're going to actually do kind of a slicker way to go about this that I thought of for this tutorial, which will be really easy. It'll keep the PHP really easy. And that's going to be, we're going to loop through all the videos and then add them to a comparison string and then use what's called a stir position or stir pause in PHP to determine if the video ID is contained in the string. And I'll show you. It's really easy, slick way, and it's not super heavy on your processing power. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually steal a function from our public page. I'm just going to steal, let me see, I'm going to look for it here. I want to just steal a get right here, this get post right here. That's a sorting by ascending. We do this on our video display when it displays our 6 videos on our video page. And I just want to put that right here, and I want to get these videos first thing. I also need to do Alt-Z so that we can wrap this page. And right here you can see we're getting all the WP10 vids, order ascending, and in the post count I'm just going to put like 2,500, and that's going to get any probably amount of videos we have. Okay, so now we're getting all those and we're adding them to a post array, which by the way we could comment this like first get all the posts. All right, and I'm just going to try to keep this fast like usual. Okay, and now we need to create a counter variable outside of our if statements, because I'm going to be creating a couple of if statements here. And we're going to create a count variable, and I'm just going to call this comp vids. Okay, and comp vids is going to have nothing in it. And now what we're going to do is we're going to loop through that all posts. We're going to do a for each, and we're going to loop through there, and we're going to determine if each one has its video ID and then add it to that comp vids. That's going to hold our all of our video IDs in it, and I'll show you what I mean right now. But we actually have to do something else first, which is we have to check if there's any existing videos at all, because if there isn't, we don't have anything to update. And this is really easy to do. We're just going to create an if statement, And we're going to say if, and by the all vid posts, this variable right here, this get post gets returned as an array. And if there's no items in the array, meaning we don't have any posts in the database, this is going to equal 0. So if we say if you are equal to 0, then that means there are no posts, right? In which case, let's do an echo. Remember, you could also just do this as raw HTML if you open and close the tags. We're going to say H2, there are no videos. So click import first, right? And I'll go show you that this actually works here in just a second. And that's all this function is going to do at the moment. And as you know, we have nothing. So if we click import, because I just deleted all the videos, look what it does. There are no videos, so click import first. Okay, perfect. So we know that it's doing this right now. Okay, but now what we needed to do is we need to make an else out of this. And the reason why is because the else is going to tell us, okay, there is actually something in the database. So now we're ready to get down to business. So in here, in the else statement, we have the videos. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cycle through them. That's exactly what we're going to write. Now we know we have videos. So cycle them. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to cycle the videos using the for each. So like every other for each we've done in this entire site, we are going to do a for each on all the posts, because now we know there is posts because it's not, the count isn't equal to 0. And we're going to treat them as, what do we do in the other ones? We treat them as each post. That's what we do. Right. Now we have an each post that contains each of our videos, and now we can do something with it. Well, here's the thing. Sometimes you're going to get because the way this is adding metadata, some of your posts are not going to equal something. And so in that case, we kind of need to error check for those and then just shove them to the side. So what we're going to say is if each post, remember, we had to do video ID because that's what's in our database. And then that's an standard array, and that's a lowercase d, by the way. Very important right here. This is how our database is storing the video ID. And I explained this in an earlier video. You can go back and see that. But if the current video ID is equal to nothing, that means that this particular post has no video in it. We want to do nothing because this is just like a metadata post, and we don't want to do that. Else, once again, in a nested statement, we now know that we have found a post that's an actual video. This is a video. So now we can do something with this. Now we have something that we can compare up against, or we can add to our comparison tool. And what I mean by that is we created this comp vids, okay? And this is where now we have a video from our database that contains a video ID. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a comparison string by pulling comp vids, and we're going to say equals. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a starting comma. We're going to use a concatenation. We're going to say comp vids because we want it to equal what's currently in there. We don't want to overwrite what's in there. We just want to add to it. And then actually right here what we're going to do is we're going to say each post video ID, video ID. I'll explain this a little better too, what it's doing right here. I actually wrote this on my desktop and brought it over here so I can show you guys. And then a comma at the end, and then we close it out. Now, what's going to happen here? Well, when this cycles through, and I'll actually just print it to show you what it's doing, but essentially what's happening here is it's saying, okay, we're getting all the posts, and we're checking to see if it's greater than 0. It is greater than 0. Okay, the user on the renew function, they are trying to add something because there's more than 0 posts. Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump in here and do a for each on every post inside of the database as each post. If that post has a video ID, a YouTube video ID, if it doesn't, we don't want to do anything. If it does, we need to add this to our comp vid. So it says add this and what's currently in comp vids, and then each post video ID, and then the comma. Okay? And what this is going to do, what it's going to do is it's going to take what's currently in there, add a comma to it, and then add the new video ID. And in the end, we're going to have a string that has all 5 or 6 or however many videos in our database. All their video IDs are going to be in this string separated by a comma. This allows us to compare against it on the videos we are currently importing. Do you see where I'm going with this? It's going to make it a lot easier. This is a single loop that goes through and does this versus we have to loop every time we're looking at an imported video. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump down because we said, okay, this is comp vids, it's doing its thing, it's for each vid post as vid, and we're still in the same else bracket right here. But what we're going to do now is we're going to jump down here and we're going to say, okay, now what we need to do is call in the new YouTube videos and compare, because now we have a comp vids list to compare against. Now call in the new videos and compare. And we're going to take this code as well. Where do you think this is coming from? Right above. In our other function right here where it's calling the stuff, we're going to use the same thing. Our YouTube channel ID, all that stuff's already programmed in what we did before. So it's right here. So now we're linking up to YouTube and we're gathering a new video list on the same channel we've been going for each time. Now what we can do is we can sort through that and we can determine if the video exists or if it doesn't exist in our database, because we have this comp vids key, right? Okay, just like this. So we can say sort through the items and output, or not output, sort through the items and add anything that's new. And we'll test this in the end, by the way. And I'm trying to build this pretty quickly. I think we're already like over 10 minutes, so I'm gonna try to push this last part pretty quickly. Okay, so like we do in every other for each where we're calling to YouTube, we now have a for each where we can access video list. Okay, and in video list we can go items, because that's what we're gathering to, and we can say as item. Now we can access each video in the video list and determine what we want to do with it. So let's say determine if we already have this video, and here's where the magic comes in out of everything we just built up to this. Okay, here's where it all comes to fruition. We can say here's a new video, here's a new variable right here, and we're going to call this vid exists, and we're going to say stir pause. This is a PHP function to determine if a string is contained within another string. First it wants the haystack, that's the string we're searching. That's comp vids because it contains all of our videos IDs that we've already saved into our database, like I just showed above. And what do you want to see if it's in there? The needle. What's the needle? Well, the needle is the current video's ID. Here's how we do that. We take the item. And remember, I said this was something we could have done to add them to our database more efficiently if I had felt like it, but in this particular case, and actually it's lowercase. And then, but I didn't feel like doing it, I just added the whole data, so we had the type and everything. Then, video ID. So, see what we're checking? We're checking the current imported item from YouTube's video ID against our string. And if this item is contained within the string, it will give us a value. So say that the video that it finds, say this first video that it pulls, the first one is in comp vids, it will give us like substring 5. It'll say the occurrence starts at 5. If the occurrence is 0, that's the reason we added a starting comma, so that this first occurrence could never be 0. It's always gonna, the video will always, I'm trying to explain this in a way it makes sense. See, if we were just adding videos to this string, and say the very first video in our database got added at the very first string, or the very first character in here, and this video matched it, it would return 0. But it also returns 0 when it doesn't find a string. So what we need it to do is always return something greater than a 0. That's why I entered a comma before everything else, so that it can always return a higher substring. So the video ID will be at 5, the next one will be at 20, and that's where in this string it finds the video ID if it exists. If it does not exist, it's a new video because it wasn't in our database and it didn't get added to this string. Okay, so in order to make that work, we have to say, all we have to do is add that on there, and that's now gathering it to determine if it's a number. Well, we can now write an if statement, check to see if this video exists. Right. If vid exists equals 0. Remember, it's 2 equals, or no, sorry, not equals. We need to say greater than 0. If it's greater than 0, we have found it, right? That means that this is found. Else, here's where the video gets added to the database. Right here. Add the video because it was not found in our database string. You see what I'm saying? It means that out of all the database items we gathered and added to the comp vids, it wasn't contained in there. it didn't show up. This loop went through all of our posts, our current custom posts that are our videos, and added all of them to a string, all their video IDs. And the video ID on the current YouTube item we gathered is not contained in there. So that means it's a new video. Else, it is a pre-existing video that we do have. See? This is a pretty slick way to do this by just using string comparisons and not doing deep for each statements on every item in our database every time the user brings in a single video from YouTube. So we could actually just say like this. Let me just show you an example. We can just do an echo, and we're going to say found, okay, and then we're going to add a line break, okay. So when the video is found, and we're just going to do this for ourselves right now, it's going to say, hey, I found you. And actually, let's go for vid exists as well. I'll show you that too. The reason why is because I also want you to be able to see what I was talking about substring occurrence. And for anybody that's familiar with this, you know it's nothing fancy, but I just want to show people who aren't familiar. Okay, so found it. Well, did we have any videos? I don't think we did. So let's import, and our stuff's imported. Let's renew. Okay, remember what I said? Look, it pulled from a string, and actually I'll output that string too, so you can see the string too. Let's output the comp.vid string. I'm just wanting to show you how all this broke down. So comp.vids is the one that contains all of our databases, all of our video IDs. Okay, so now you're going to see a string that contains all of our video IDs. Okay, see what it did? It has quite a bit of these at the beginning. Don't even worry about that. It doesn't affect it in any way. Okay, look, here's your first video, your second video. These are from the database. These are not from YouTube. These are the ones we saved the first time. If you go back to our videos, you'll see this is the newest one, this 64 Impala. And if you look in the bottom left corner, it's JU. See, that's its YouTube video ID. There it is right there from the database. And it found it at position 6. See, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it starts at 0 in programming. So it found it at position 6. It located that string that it was looking for when YouTube pulled it in as its most recent video for Motor Trend. And it said, hey, we already have that. It's right here at position 6. Hey, this one's at position 18. This one's at position 30. So that's how that works. Okay, so it found it. But if it didn't, we wanted to add it. And how do we do that? We can steal the code right from above because we already wrote it, because it's using the same YouTube import. So this code right here, everything in this data array add section right here, we can grab all of this all the way up to this data insert new post, and we can put that in this function right here, or in this else, because it needs to add it. And it's using all the same item because we looped it using item as item. So we don't have to change any naming or anything. So if it hasn't found it, or if it found it, it's not going to do anything. It's going to echo a statement, which is fine. If it hasn't found it, it's going to add it to the array. Okay, pretty simple. I mean, not really that simple, I guess, but I told you it was going to be a little more complicated, didn't I? Let's see. Okay, so we're going to completely get rid of that, and we're going to get rid of the echo for comp.vids. So now it's doing exactly what we want it to do. It's going to add new videos. But if it didn't add anything new, we want to be able to know that, right? Right, well, guess how we do that? Right here. Remember how we created an area that shows us what's going on? So if BLN or BLN import, sorry, if BLN renew equals true, we want to output a message that it's renewed. And the way that we do that is we can actually add it right here, BLN renew. We can just create it right in that function right there because we're inside the renew block. And now we have a renew that tells us that it's true. So now we can put right here a message that says you renewed, you didn't renew. We could just take this right here. Actually, this whole thing really. Put it in like this and then just say you have renewed from, let's just say from YouTube. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it. Let's just test it a few times, then I want to wrap this up. Okay, so on the renew, it'll have nothing because there wasn't anything. That's why it's not giving us a renew call. But let's go ahead and delete one. All right, let's just go ahead and delete one record from the database so I can show you how it works. So let's go to posts, and let's go all the way to the last page, page 7. That should be where the newest videos were added. For the videos we just brought in, yep, here's that one with the Impala. Let's go ahead and delete it. If we head back to our videos and refresh, this will be gone. There it is. Oh, it's no longer there. And then back over here in our renew, you're going to see you have renewed videos from YouTube. Now we could probably change this to yellow, obviously. But if we go back to our videos, you're going to see it appear down here. Look at that. So we just were able to successfully run a renew function. Okay, it's working right out of the box. And I will update this in the GitHub as well, so you can reverse engineer and look at what I did. This is a very simple function that was kind of very clear. Like I said, it just uses string comparisons to determine what we have and what we don't, and then just adds new as it cycles through YouTube. Okay? So I hope that was easy to follow along with. I know it kind of went fast because this video is longer than my normal ones. I don't like to go over 10 minutes, let alone 20 minutes. But essentially we were just getting the videos, creating a comparison string, checking to make sure that there was a count, that the array was greater than 0 on that, meaning the user had posts we'd already imported, and then goes through, finds everything that has an ID, adds it to our comp vids, then comes into YouTube, pulls in a video list, compares to make sure that the current video from YouTube, we don't already have it. Hope that was simple enough. And then we set a renew boolean and we're able to create a message down below. Well, hey, like I say in the beginning of every video, you want me to say it? Subscribe, will you? And comment if you need help on this or if you have any questions about it. I know there's a lot of ways to do this. This isn't the only way. And other than that, hey, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one.